Hello, everyone. I need some energy. Hi, yes. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Aayati Kar. I'm a 7th grade student, a self-taught artist, and I'm the host of Girls Talk STEM, a space where imagination meets innovation, and where we believe that every girl belongs at every single table, not or behind the lab bench or behind the coding screen. I'm the youth lead for the World Women Foundation, and I want to thank our strategic partners, Jam Session, for helping support Girls Talk STEM. I started Girls Talk STEM because I was tired of hearing that girls, leadership, and STEM just don't go together. And today I get the chance to sit down with someone who's working every day, not just to change that for girls like me, but for thousands of people across the UK. Our guest today began as a teacher, shaped lives in the classroom, stepped into leadership roles to shape systems. Now he's the Chief Executive Officer of Mission 44 and the Impact Director for Sir Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time world champion and the Formula One driver. Yes. And this foundation, Mission 44, is to boost mobility and open doors for young people who are often overlooked. Please join me in welcoming someone who believes in big change, bold ideas, and the brilliant potential of every young person, Mr. Jason Arthur, the CEO of Mission 44 and Impact Director of Sir Lewis Hamilton.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. So before we dive in, I would like to show everyone a quick video of what Mission 44 is really about. Can we please play the video?
What do girls talk about?
It's a Girls Talk STEM video as well.
Boobs, yes, but also bosoms. Of course we're going to think about how to build better buildings, write better code, and how cute we'd be looking wearing our lab coats. We have only begun changing girl talk to STEM talk.
Thank you. And can we please play the Mission 44 video, please? Thank you.
And he does make that lunge down the inside, Lewis Hamilton!
Every single one of us has a dream. Mine was to be a Formula One world champion, to be the best. But when I watched the races on TV, I didn't see anyone that looked like me. At school, I experienced exclusion. I was told and made to feel that I would never become anything, that somehow my dreams were off limits and that they were impossible to chase down. Thankfully, my parents believed in me. My dad worked 4 jobs to fund weekends at the track with the help of my mum. And when I'd get into that car, I felt invincible. I could shut the world out, and under that helmet, anything was possible. There were so many voices telling me that I wouldn't succeed because of my color or where I come from. But with determination, support, and hard work, I made it. I know not every young person has the same opportunities as I had. So despite the championships and the wins and the success, setting up Mission 44 has been my proudest achievement so far. Through the work that we are doing, we have the chance to build a better future for young people in the UK and around the world, hopefully. We have the opportunity to create a future that embraces diversity, promotes inclusion, and breaks down these barriers. Many other organizations and activists share our vision, but for too long have been overlooked and underfunded. Mission 44 is changing that. We're getting behind them. And through these incredible partnerships, Mission 44 is making sure a new world for young people is emerging. A world where no dreams are off limits, where young people feel included in the classroom, where doors are opened into STEM and motorsport careers, and kept open so they can reach the top. And where young people can gain skills and tools to feel empowered and become influential voices of change. This world is possible, it can be done, and we won't stop until we get there.
That's for all the kids out there who dream the impossible. You can do it too, man. I believe in you guys.
Can we please give a round of applause? So that's Mission 44, and that's what it's really about. So thank you for joining me today. And I want to start off with the beginning, how it all started. So I have a theory. I believe every leader was once a kid with a big question. And one of my questions was, why aren't there more girls in tech? when you were 12, around my age, what was your big question?
Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me, and I feel as though, as a male speaker at the World Women Foundation's session, I should be thoughtful about what I share and represent men well. So forgive me if I don't. I think as a 12-year-old, I think I was asking a lot of questions. I think at that time, boys, and black boys in particular, in the UK weren't doing very well academically. And I think that sense of how good am I meant to be? What are the expectations for me as a black male student was something that, particularly with discussions with my parents about education and the fact that they valued education quite a lot, was a kind of question that I played with quite a bit at quite a young age. And, I stopped and searched, a few times as a kid. So I think race was very much at the forefront of my mind. I definitely didn't know what I wanted to do. So looking at you now and your kind of passion for STEM and your poise, I don't think I knew what my trajectory was going to be. So I sort of wanted to be a football player, I sort of wanted to be a lawyer, I sort of wanted to be an actor. I don't think I had a sense of what my career trajectory was.
Thank you for sharing that. And sometimes the smallest moments, the smallest questions spark the biggest missions. And so the biggest mission is Mission 44 right now for you. So was there a moment in early life or school that shaped your passion for equity and opportunity for everyone?
Yeah, so my mum used to give careers advice to young people who were looking for jobs in North London, and they tended to be young people from disadvantaged backgrounds. So she would talk a lot about her experiences giving advice to those young people when she came home. So I learned a huge amount from her, and I think I got quite interested in social change and politics, just hearing her frustrations at the dinner table and her advice to me based on the experiences that she was having with the young people that she was speaking to. And then slightly older, when I was 16, moved to a different school. So the first school that I went to was in a very disadvantaged part of London, and the makeup of the kids there tended to be from less affluent backgrounds. And then I went to another school for 16 to 18, which was just outside of London, and the school facilities were incredible. The teachers were just so knowledgeable about different pathways into different careers, and the kids themselves, in terms of the families that they were from, the experiences that they were having, just felt a complete world away from what I had experienced. And I found that really annoying because it didn't feel fair that some of the kids that I had been with in my first school, who were equally as bright, just didn't have anywhere near as many opportunities as that second school. So I think a mixture of those two school experiences and my mum and her just sharing every day when she got back from work what she was doing and the conversation she was having, I think had a really big impact on me.
And talking about your schooling and the experiences you've had, teachers plant seeds that grow into huge futures, and you've had a whole forest of impact. So what did teaching in East London teach you about challenges and potential of young people?
That's such a lovely phrase, forest of impact. I like it. I had a pretty crazy first 2 years. So I taught in two different schools in London, one straight out of university, and then the second time I went to work for a charity, and then I went back into the classroom again. So that first period in the classroom, I was 21, teaching kids who are 16, so I was like marginally older than them, trying to pretend that I had all of this gravitas and things like that. But what was striking, and you'll hear a lot of teachers say this, is I had some brilliant students. They were funny, smart, so capable, but were really struggling. I had kids in my class who were in care. I had kids in my class who, their first meal, and there are only 2 meals, proper hot meals, were going to be what they would get at school. Kids who didn't have networks, who didn't necessarily know how to navigate, what they wanted to be or what they wanted to do. And certainly a lot of kids who in that particular part of East London dealt with crime, a lot of crime and gangs, and we as teachers were trying to stop them from getting involved in gangs. So it was really challenging. It was like an incredible experience being a teacher, but that challenge of it's moving. That challenge of brilliant students who had all of these issues around them that would stop them from being able to really fulfill their potential. I learned a lot from that.
Yeah, and definitely, and you made so much change. You changed their lives, and really talking about how you had to help people get away from crimes. I think that's a very powerful mission that you had as a teacher as well. So Sir Lewis Hamilton did not just change racing as well. He's helping change lives. And can you share the story behind why Mission 44 started and what makes it stand out from other foundations who are trying to do the same thing?
So you heard Lewis talk about it a little bit in that video. He's achieved an incredible amount, and not just in the world of motorsport. I mean, for those of you who are into your fashion, you may have seen he just chaired the Met Gala, and for those of you who are into films, the F1 movie is out, and he's an executive producer of that. So he's doing incredible things. What people don't know as much about is how difficult his childhood was, the fact that he experienced a significant amount of racism. He also grew up just outside of London in an area called Stevenage. He was dyslexic, so he really struggled at school. And then by the time that he got to the final year of compulsory education at that point, so 16, he was permanently expelled for something that he didn't do. And it was overturned once it was investigated. But that trauma of feeling as though I'm being kicked out of school, am I then going to be able to get that racing contract? Because a lot of the contract expectations were that he completed school and that he got his GCSEs. It was a huge moment for him. So on a personal level, he really connects to some of the challenges that young people face. Mm-hmm. And then in the world of motorsport, he gets to the pinnacle of the sport, looks around him, and there's no one who looks like him, no one who's had his background in the paddocks. So you've got a real lack of ethnic diversity. You've also got a real lack of gender diversity as well. And so I think for him, it was thinking, okay, I've reached the top. What does this mean? Is it winning races and winning championships? Is that enough? And his very conclusive answer to that question was no. So he set up Mission 44 as a result. He actually did something called the Hamilton Commission just before that, which was looking at why is there such lack of diversity, particularly in terms of the black community in motorsport. And then he set up Mission 44 because he didn't just want to understand the issues in the sport, he wanted to do something about it.
And talking about young people, which Mission 44 is really centered around, young people often hear, you're the future. But Mission 44 is working on the present, the now. So what's one project at Mission 44 you think is changing the game for young people now?
Well, I should start by saying what Mission 44 does. So Mission 44, we're very much focused on how do we support young people to thrive in education, so feel included, have that sense of belonging, get the support that they need. And then secondly, how can we get those young people to get into brilliant jobs in STEM and motorsport? And so, we do a lot. We fund brilliant non-profits and help them to reach those young people and grow their work. We do quite a lot of convening and connecting organizations and young people together. And then we campaign. And we campaign including trying to influence policy. So to directly answer your question, I'd say there are two examples. One, I was lucky enough with Licia, who's a colleague of mine, to go into number 10 Downing Street about 2 weeks ago. In fact, it was 2 weeks ago today, with Lewis and a group of young people and our partners to have an event with the Prime Minister in the UK, which was in response to a policy campaign about how do we make education fairer and more inclusive. And the Prime Minister and the government made some policy commitments in response to our campaign. So that felt like a really significant win for quite a young organisation that yes, we've been funding organisations in this space, but actually at the national level, the Prime Minister and the government are going to make change in response to what we do. So that's example one. And then example two is we give scholarships. So we give scholarships to young people to help them get into the world of motorsport specifically. And our first cohort of scholars, all of them after they'd done a master's in kind of motorsport-related STEM subjects, so like engineering, all of them ended up getting a job in an F1 team. So 2 examples at different scales of the impact that we are making.
And you mentioned STEM and involving young people in STEM. And since we're at the World Womenkind Agenda, we have to talk about girls. And my big question is, if science is about curiosity, many girls get shut out from it. Why? And what do you think holds girls, especially from underserved backgrounds, from pursuing careers in STEM, essentially?
I think what I find fascinating about education overall is that girls now in developed countries, and even in developing countries, are outperforming boys academically. So we've seen a real shift in the last 30 years in particular, that acceleration of girls' performance academically. So why is it then that we're not seeing as many girls as there should be studying STEM at further and higher education and ultimately getting jobs? And I think a big part of it are expectations that educators and employers have about who should be doing STEM courses and who should be doing STEM jobs. So, the kind of cliche, you can't be it if you can't see it, I think is relevant. And there aren't enough girls at the moment in STEM jobs, and there aren't enough girls and women at the moment in further and higher education. So I think that's challenging. But also we need our educators to be ensuring that when they are teaching girls and young women, that they're saying STEM is a place for you. STEM careers are a place for you. STEM education, you can really excel and thrive. And I think certainly in the UK and in the US where we're expanding, but in lots of other countries too, that kind of culture and that set of expectations that this is something that girls can and should do doesn't exist. And that needs to change.
Yeah, that definitely needs to change. And I think it's about giving girls equity, not equality, right? Equity is a big part.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
What just share a little bit more about what sparked your interest in STEM. What was it that got you so excited and passionate about it?
So what got me passionate and excited about STEM is because when I was growing up in India, my grandmother, even though she's not a certified teacher, she used to teach girls who don't have access to education. And we live in a very rural part of India. I lived for 9 years in a very rural part of India. She's not a certified teacher, but she had a passion for teaching girls. And those girls never were going to get educated. They were forced to get married at a very young age. And my grandmother helped them get educated, and now they hold political positions in India, or have really high-profile jobs in India, which is incredible. And now they're able to feed their families. And since then, I realized that science is a very important topic that girls need to talk about, because that's the future. AI, STEM, this is all that girls need to know. They need to be educated about, and that's what inspired me to teach girls and inspire or empower girls in STEM.
Right. So you had that role model who said you can do it.
Exactly.
And I think that's what we need for girls everywhere, right? Role models who say this is for you, you can do it, and support you. So.
Yeah, and I think going back to the equity point. Equity isn't just about access. It's about belonging, and that's what Mission 44 is doing. So how can schools, companies, and communities create environments where girls and young people of every background belong in STEM?
I think for inclusion at any level, that sense that whoever is leading that institution or organization wants to understand you, wants to listen to you and give your voice the level of significance there where it then affects what they support you with and what they provide to you is really important. So I think at a school level, you want educators who care about the experiences of their students and care about the experiences of girls and are asking girls about, STEM and what they find interesting about STEM, what they find challenging about STEM, getting other people into the school to be able to create those visible role models. So inclusion is feeling as though you matter, someone sees you and understands you and wants to listen to you. And I think the same applies to employers, right? So it's not good enough just to recruit more girls or more ethnic minority employees, more working class employees, and then have an environment where actually then they don't feel listened to, they don't feel valued, the hierarchy or the structures don't enable those employees to really flourish. You've got to create spaces as leaders of those organizations to say, how do my female employees feel? Do they feel as though they're being listened to? Are they progressing into middle and senior leadership positions? You know, all of that I think is important for girls then and young women to feel as though I belong here.
Yeah, and I think you're doing that at Mission 44 as well. And so since we're coming to a short end to the session, I'm going to ask some rapid-fire questions to introduce you a little bit to our audience. So what's one subject you secretly loved in school?
I loved, my favorite subjects were history. When I got to 15, 16, I studied drama. And I went to theatre school for a long while, so I love drama as well.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, those are probably my two favorites.
Nice. And who's one woman in STEM or education who inspires you and is leading change in this world?
There's actually a non-profit leader who Mission 44 don't work with yet, but I suspect at some point that will change. Her name's Dr. Anne-Marie Imafidon, and she is the CEO of a charity called STEMETS. And she is just incredibly impressive. She's a black woman who got an A in A-level mathematics and further maths, the youngest person to ever do that in the UK. She studied at Oxford at an incredibly young age. She now leads a non-profit which is all about getting girls and young women into STEM. And for those of you who are British, we have a TV show that you might be aware of called Countdown, which is very popular. And she often is one of the presenters on Countdown, and she does maths problems. So she's got kind of some visibility through that as well. But I love not just only her personal journey, but the fact that she's now using her platform to help other girls and young women to enter into the world of motorsport. So yeah, she would be one.
And going back to the beginning of our conversation, what advice would you give to your 12-year-old self?
To try lots of things. I think most kids don't know at 12 what they want to do, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I think I was very lucky in that I had parents who encouraged me to value education, and I played a lot of football, I did a lot of athletics and drama. I don't know at 12 whether I always appreciated all the opportunities that I was getting, even though I didn't go to a particularly great school. My parents were doing a lot to kind of widen opportunities for me. So I think I would tell my 12-year-old self to embrace that and to not also worry about braces, because I got braces.
Me too.
Yes. And there's nothing wrong with braces. I think I got really caught up with having braces. So I tell my 12-year-old self that's fine as well.
Yeah, I'm super worried about it. If I would break it because I'm on summer vacation and I'm traveling, so I don't have my dentist around.
You look great. Don't worry.
And I always end with this one because I think words can be sparks. So if every girl listening to this interview could remember one message from you, what would you want that to be?
I would say it's to feel empowered to do whatever it is that you want to do. And there are too many people throughout all of our lives who will assume things about us, about what we can and what we can't do, and try and therefore constrain what we can achieve. And I think it's so important that any girl, any young woman knows that they can achieve, and they have every right to be as ambitious about themselves and their lives as they want to be. And at Mission 44, that's our message always, whether it's Lewis, the team, our partners. You can feel empowered to know that you can, and organizations like Mission 44 will be by your side.
Thank you for joining us today. And let's give a big round of applause to Mr. Jason Arthur for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for all for joining us today. Don't forget to tag Mission 44 and World Women Fund on all of your social media posts for this session. And stay tuned for the next conversation at World Women Agenda. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.